It's a loop.
Manchester United have sacked manager David Moyes after just 10 months in the job.
It's all a loop.
It's breaking news for you. The news is now official. Louis van Gaal has been sacked as manager of Manchester United.
Everything you see.
Big breaking news. Manchester United have sacked Jose Mourinho.
Everything you hear.
Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked.
It's not real.
But Manchester United have sacked their manager Erik Ten Hag.
Wake up.
Is that Manchester United have sacked Ruben Amorim. Okay, Jamie predicted it just a few minutes ago. He has gone. We understand that with Jason.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Sport Today on the day one of the greatest managers in football retires. Manchester United's manager Sir Alex Ferguson has called it a day after 26 seasons with the club.
On the 8th of May 2013, one of the greatest managers in football history retired after a historic 26 years at Man United, raising a brand new question. Who will replace him?
Your job now is to stand by our new manager.
David Moyes from July the 1st will become the new manager of Manchester United on a 6-year deal.
I think the appointment is excellent. So as I said, I'm pleased for him. He obviously wanted to go there.
Absolutely delighted for him.
This wasn't going to be a small deal. Moyes wanted to completely transform the team, with the club lining up a £200 million bid for both Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale, as well as other individual bids like Toni Kroos, Thiago and Cesc Fabregas. Moyes had the vision to build a super team that could carry on the Sir Alex legacy. However, what was to play out would be a very different story.
Manchester United is delighted to announce the signing of Belgian midfielder Marouane Fellaini from Everton for an undisclosed fee.
I'm very happy. It's a big moment for me.
The Man United board had a very different vision to Moyes. Instead of going for all these big hit players, they went for more questionable signings, like Fellaini from Everton for nearly 30 million and Joan Mata from Chelsea for nearly 40 million.
Chance to run a Fletcher. Bonny has surely headed the club into the 4th round of the FA Cup at Manchester United's expense.
It was. We gave away 2 terrible goals, but more importance to win, and we didn't do that today.
Manchester United have sacked manager David Moyes after just 10 months in the job.
After just 295 days at the club, David Moyes was sacked as manager of Man United as they sat in 7th position, far from any European competitions. Despite Ryan Giggs coming in as a caretaker manager, they remained 7th until the end of the season, their lowest since 1990. But the question was now, who would replace him?
It's a brilliant announcement. Somebody of that pedigree coming to Old Trafford.
But I think so. I think he's got better credentials, and I think he's got the history to prove it.
I know what he means for Manchester United, but also for the English football, and it was a great honour.
United decided on Louis van Gaal to take them forward into the upcoming 14-15 season. Despite all the promising signings, Van Gaal had a very difficult start to the season, winning just 3 of their first 10 league games. However, their fortunes would turn as they would go on an unbeaten streak, climbing them up to 4th position by the end of the season. Despite some positives, there was a storm brewing between Van Gaal and some of his new signings.
Van Gaal is a tough, demanding manager. He demands 100% in training and 100% in matches. He doesn't care how much a player costs, so everybody must give their utmost.
Di Maria basically went AWOL last week, and when Red Devils manager Louis van Gaal was asked about him, he simply didn't know where Di Maria was. Van Gaal forced PSG to pay an extra £3 million after they flew Di Maria to Qatar for a physical, when in reality they only had permission to talk to him.
The loss of Di Maria caused even more trouble to the already brewing conflict within the team, and it looked like Van Gaal's short reign as United boss was on thin ice. He had to pull it around, and he had to do so fast.
It's time to deliver, Louis.
The 15-16 season provided the same story. Inconsistent performances, troubles between players, and the manager in a bit of trouble. However, behind all this was two players that would go on to change the club forever. Upcoming talents like Rashford, Martial, Lingard and more helped United finish in a rather underwhelming 5th place, losing out on Champions League qualification yet again. However, something else was going on in the background here that saved their season from dismay.
He's overscored for them and he gets it in. He does! First half now, but here's Lingard. Oh, lovely goal. And it's Daley Blind, who's come from nowhere, really.
Well, Herrera went down, Martial hits it, and Fellaini deflects it into the back of the West Ham net.
Oh, Martial, a chance to win it! Drills it across towards Martial, and then the volley! What a goal! Jesse Lingard! The 10 men of Manchester United have come from behind and lead in extra time.
Here with some breaking news for you. The news is now official. Louis van Gaal has been sacked as manager of Manchester United. It's done.
Victory in the FA Cup couldn't save Van Gaal from the sack, as on the 23rd of May 2016, just one day after the final, Van Gaal was dismissed off his United role, which brought back the same old question: who would replace him?
Breaking news in the last few minutes here as we stand here at 5:20. I can tell you that Jose Mourinho has signed his contract with Manchester United and is now officially the Manchester United manager.
I won at Old Trafford with Real Madrid. I told that the best team lost, and not many people was happy at Real Madrid.
Mourinho's first season defied all expectations. Despite the disappointing league finish, a win in the Community Shield, League Cup and Europa League capped a successful debut season for the Portuguese manager. However, little did anyone know that it was about to take a turn for the worst.
In by Taylor, it's Smith! Ben Yedder in here, there's the goal! The Sevilla have been threatening an absolute calamity for Manchester United, one of the worst nights in their long European history.
After a failed backing with signings in the summer of 18, Mourinho had a limited squad with an expectation to fight for the title.
3 for me and 2 for them. Respect, man, respect.
Big breaking news, Manchester United have sacked Jose Mourinho.
On the 18th of December 2018, after a lack of progress, a staggered style of play, and failing to implement youth players into the squad, Jose Mourinho was sacked by Manchester United. This decision was fairly split down the middle for fans, but all were asking the same question once again: who would replace him?
Well, first of all, welcome back. Great to see you. How does it feel to be back?
Wow, thanks. First of all, it's great. It feels like coming home.
Ole was signed on the 19th of December 2018 on a temporary basis until the end of the season. Nobody really had that much of an opinion on it. They just saw him as a filler that would lead to a bigger and greater manager in the summer. However, little did they know that manager they were looking for was him.
So where does this leave the tie? You've got a mountain to climb in Paris now.
Yeah, but mountains are there to be climbed, aren't they?
4th minute of stoppage time, Rashford against Buffon. It's Rashford! And Manchester United have produced the impossible!
3 very quick questions for you. How long would you like on your contract? What would your salary like to be? And where would you like the statue?
An iconic performance in Paris helped Ole's United team recover from a 2-0 deficit against one of the tournament favourites, PSG. This game was the game that laid all eyes on Ole, and the conversation suddenly shifted from who's the next manager to how long will he stay. This victory, alongside his 13-game unbeaten streak upon arrival, made the club come to the decision to sign Ole on a permanent basis. It wasn't a question of who anymore, it was a question of how. How far can he go as Manchester United manager? Would he fall victim to the loop, or go on to make history?
Right, massive breaking news. We've been waiting for this for about 5 weeks, and I can tell you that Harry Maguire has now signed for Manchester United.
Bruno Fernandes, Jim, is a Manchester United player. That deal has been completed.
We've had 6 minutes of stoppage time. He's gone for it from halfway. Oh, amazing! Unbelievable! Scott McTominay are going to do the double over City for the first time in a decade.
Rashford, Shaw has joined them, but it's back to Pogba! And if it's the goal that carries them to the top of the table, it is worthy of it.
It was all looking good for Ole. His team was at the top of the league by January of 2021 and were still in the FA Cup and Europa League. It finally looked good for Man United and it looked like Ole was going to break the lip and make history. But on the 27th of January, Ole faced a team that would change his career forever.
It's into that fight scene, and it's it! Sheffield United strike first with Keane Bryan. Nerdy passage of play, this for Manchester United, and it's deflected in. The Blades have done it again.
Sheffield United. Sheffield United. United suffered a shock 2-1 loss to Sheffield United and was consequently demoted to second place as Manchester City stormed ahead. And despite going 5 months unbeaten, it wasn't enough, and Man City lifted yet another Premier League title. This sort of derailed United's season. However, they still managed to reach the Europa League final for a second chance at silverware. It couldn't go wrong this time, right? Right? Yeah. Despite the final heartbreak, the club remained strong as there were high hopes for Ole and his team next season. And the rest speaks for itself.
It's happened. Manchester United fans, some huge breaking news coming from the club in the past few minutes, and they have confirmed the signing, finally, of Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund.
Huge target for the fans as much as the club. The centre-back, and that is, of course, Raphael Varane.
After splurging the budget on both Sancho and Varane, the team was nearly complete. But there was something missing. Or rather, someone missing. They needed an attacking threat. A striker who's both passionate for the club and can deliver them goals. There was only one man for the job.
Manchester United have signed Cristiano Ronaldo. It has been confirmed that they have agreed a deal.
De Gea, Shaw, Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Pogba, Matic, Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo, Fernandes. This wasn't just any team. This was a title-winning squad. And thus, the challenge for Ole was set. Win the Premier League. But what was to happen instead would change the club forever.
What a pass that is for Mo Salah. Is this going to be the hat-trick? It certainly is. Fernandes, Dennis. Oh, they've got another one! And more calamities for Manchester United.
We are bringing you some breaking news now. Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked.
On the 21st of November 2021, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked by Manchester United. Now this decision wasn't out of the blue. At this point the club sat in 7th place after just winning 1 out of their last 7 games. It's clear what went wrong for Ole. His lack of tactics and huge flaws in man management led to his destructive demise. The search was back on for yet another manager. This time, they wanted a manager who could make the most out of the players they have and bring the glory days back to the club. And on the 21st of April, they found their man.
From you both to bring you huge breaking news that Erik Ten Hag has been announced as the new first team manager of Manchester United.
The intention is to play fantastic football, but if we cannot fantastic football, we still have to win.
Ten Hag arrived with an entirely new vision and approach. After previously impressing at Ajax, helping them reach the Champions League semi-finals, he was seen as the person to have the drive and tactics to bring the club back to its best. And it wasn't long before he showed that. By October, they managed to recover their position into 5th, and it was looking good for them. However, little did anyone know that there was a huge problem occurring behind the scenes, which would go down as one of the biggest disasters in the club's history.
They're trying to force you out, yes. Not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys there around. Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt that some people that don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too.
On the 13th of November 2022, a bombshell interview was released between Ronaldo and Piers Morgan, displaying Cristiano's discontent and anger towards the club, criticising the manager, the players, and most importantly, the owners. Yes, I'm being forced out, not only the coach, but another 2 or 3 guys around. I felt betrayed. I don't have respect for him, because he doesn't show respect for me. If you don't have respect for me, I'm never going to have respect for you. The progress was zero since Sir Alex left. I saw no evolution in the club. The Glazers don't care about Man United. They see the team as a marketing club. They get their money from marketing. These were all things Ronaldo said in his interview, basically showing how corrupt the club has become with greedy owners taking charge. The board were furious with his interview and consequently terminated Ronaldo's contract on the 22nd of November 2022, putting Ronaldo's time at United to a very abrupt and controversial end. Meanwhile, back on the pitch, the club were still performing well. However, they were now missing a striker. This didn't really affect them, however, as they still maintained solid form. They managed to hop up into 3rd by February, and after beating Barcelona to progress to the Europa League, as well as lifting their first trophy in 6 years in the form of the Carabao Cup, they looked unstoppable. However, what was to play out would be one of the biggest embarrassments football has ever seen.
Some telling Gakpo where he wanted him to go, and there he went. He's got a chance, he's got a goal! Towards Firmino Salah. It's 6. Got it through. Oh, that's the one they wanted. That is the cherry on the icing on the cake.
7-0. You will never see a scoreline like that again. It was an absolute embarrassment to every player out there and would live long in the memory of United fans in general. They managed to recover towards the end of the season, finishing in impressive 3rd place. However, after losing the Europa League quarters to Sevilla and the FA Cup final to Man City, it was obvious that despite Ten Hag's impressive achievement, work needed to be done to ensure that the only way from here was up.
Where right now Manchester United are parading their confirmed new signing, Rasmus Højlund.
Manchester United have their man. They have signed the Inter Milan goalkeeper, Andre Onana, for €55 million.
Mason Mount has signed from Chelsea, that fee, £60 million.
In response to the last season, the club made the worst financial decisions that they've ever made. Onana for £45 million, Mason Mount for £55 million, and Rasmus Højlund for £70 million. That's £170 million on just 3 players. 3 players that could either make or break the club. And in true United fashion, you know what option they chose.
Ziyech whips it in, trying to catch. Oh, he's done it! He's caught Onana again. What on earth is the Manchester United goalkeeper doing there?
Casemiro loses out all too cheaply. And it's another! It's Michael Carrick! That is special! This night is special!
The 23-24 season was on record as the worst season Man United have ever had in the Premier League. After a truly humiliating Champions League campaign, Onana was absolutely set on fire by the media after countless mistakes in the competition. Within the league, it was a lot of on and off form, which led them to finish 8th place, their joint lowest finish ever in the Premier League. Most problems circle around the manager, with his tactics and apparent player favouritism being the eventual demise at his time at United. However, there's one thing I forgot to mention. One thing that had the chance to save Erik Ten Hag from the sack. It was all or nothing, and it came down to the FA Cup.
It's Fernandes.
Blocked by Townsend. Højlund! And the tie is finally beyond reach.
In by Bruno Fernandes and all the way in.
The team squeezed past their first 3 rounds to be drawn against Liverpool in the quarter-finals. Ten Hag knew that if the FA Cup campaign came to an end, so would his career at United. However, this was a Liverpool team charging for the title, with star players across the team. It looked practically impossible for United to get past.
Joe's escaped again, and he sent the ball towards the near post, and it's
McTominay's early goal stunned Liverpool and put United into a quick lead. A lead that would last not even 40 minutes. At half-time, Liverpool led 2-1, and all it took was a single goal for United to come back.
Trying to squeeze it in, Anthony keeping hold of it, looking to turn!
All they needed was one more goal.
It's over the top for Rashford, who's onside, and he's missed the target! What a moment!
It was once again all to play for. And then, after 120 minutes.
Timely intervention, and now a chance to escape, and there are 2 against 1 in Manchester United's favour. Garnacho to Ahmad, Ahmad for the semi-final. A comeback of monumental proportions.
History had been made. Ahmad's late goal sent United to the FA Cup semi-finals and kept him in the job just that little while longer. After nearly throwing it all away, they still managed to reach the FA Cup final against Man City for the 2nd year in a row. This was their chance to redeem themselves and win back what was theirs. And needless to say, they did exactly that.
Van der Saka, look at the space for Bobby Maino! The FA Cup is in Manchester United's hands again!
Now this win was crucial for Ten Hag and boosted the morale of his whole team. However, this gave the brand new Ineos board one of their toughest decisions yet, whether they were to keep or sack Erik Ten Hag. On one hand, Ten Hag brought the team to 8th place. They crashed out of the Champions League and his man management brought up a lot of problems. However, on the other hand, he led United to another piece of silverware. The performance against City could be a new start Ten Hag was wanting. It took a while, but at last, they came to a decision.
Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. The words I wanted to say, Erik Ten Hag is going to stay as Manchester United manager.
Back to Vicky in Berlin in just a second. Got some big breaking news. The club confirming Joshua Zirkzee has joined the club.
It's announced. Manuel Ugarte is a Manchester United player.
The signings confirmed now of Matthijs de Ligt and Noussair Mazraoui, a combined total with add-ons of £60 million.
After signing key players like de Ligt, Mazraoui, Zirkzee, Ugarte and Yoro, there are high hopes for Ten Hag to deliver on his promises and bring United back from the dark days of the previous season. But, in true United fashion, the obvious happened.
Taken on by Szoboszlai, sifted on for Salah, 3-0! Bergvall, and it got its flick and it got its finish on the line from Dominic Solanke.
I hate to interrupt you, Dermot, but we have certain reason to do so because but Manchester United have sacked their manager, Erik Ten Hag.
On the 20th of October 2024, Erik Ten Hag was sacked by United as the most brutal manager curse continued on the club. It was once again the board's job to find a good replacement that could bring them back to glory. This time, they needed someone different. I mean, this would be their 6th permanent manager, post Sir Alex Ferguson. They couldn't mess it up again. This had to be right.
This is Total Football and this is big breaking news because Manchester United have confirmed the appointment of head coach Ruben Amorim.
On November 1st, Ruben Amorim was hired as Man United manager. The Portuguese manager had a decent amount of experience, succeeding with Portuguese side Sporting Lisbon. Amorim came at a time where United needed to get back on track. But unlike the other managers, which had a new manager bounce, this time was different.
Through to Munoz, who has Mateta free in the middle. He can see it here. He does. Ouattara and Semenyo. That may well do it for Bournemouth.
Amorim had one of the most disastrous results one could imagine and finished the season in 15th place. The worst position the club has ever had in the Premier League to date. Not all eyes were on this result, however. Instead, they were on the Europa League. Despite his chaotic season, Amorim still managed to guide United all the way to the final of the Europa League after beating the likes of Rangers, Real Sociedad, Bilbao, and a historic comeback against Lyon. They went up against one of the worst Spurs sides in recent years, sitting even worse than United in the table. Surely it was an easy win, right? Well, not exactly. The feedback off this result was nothing but negative. Amorim successfully handed the worst Spurs side in years, their first trophy in years, and he ended his first season as the worst manager the club has ever had. However, despite all this, the club still had belief in him. And so that summer, instead of sacking him, they backed him.
Well, we're receiving some breaking news here at Sky Sports News, and Manchester United have reached an agreement with Wolverhampton Wanderers for the signing of their captain, Matheus Cunha.
Manchester United have announced the signing of Slovenian striker Benjamin Sesko.
Manchester United have finally announced the signing of Brian Mbomo from Brentford.
4 world-class signings that were thought to be the missing puzzle in Amorim's team. the club was now ready to go into the season and challenge again for the Champions League spots. Or that's what they thought.
Dane opens it up for the Dane. It's Brentford's day.
Because the breaking news, I think you might have guessed it, is that Manchester United have sacked Ruben Amorim.
It was over. After backing him time and time again, Amorim continued to let the club down. It had now hit a mental low point. They needed someone in temporarily to steady the ship and get back on track. And who better to do that than Michael Carrick? The man who joined all those years ago in 2006, who became a key player in Sir Alex Ferguson's midfield, captained the side after his departure, returned as caretaker manager in 2021 for just a couple of games, was back and ready for another challenge. His first 2 games consisted of Man City at Old Trafford and then top of the league Arsenal at the Emirates. It was borderline impossible. Or was it?
Looking to rip around O'Reilly. Dongo! Old Trafford is roaring! We're on the turn. Oh, what a sensational hit from Mateus Cunha!
Michael Carrick had completely changed Man United, shocking the top 2 teams in the league, including beating Arsenal at the Emirates for the first time in 10 years. The momentum didn't stop there as he went on to beat even more big teams like Fulham, Everton, Spurs, Aston Villa and more. So the question now stands, is Carrick finally the man to replace Sir Alex Ferguson after years and years of trial and error, or will he just be another victim to fall into the ruthless path of the loop? What do you think? Comment below, and after, why not watch this video right here.